Okay, I don't know if this will help you guys, but you probably have already created your own mnemonics, but here's what we did, and so if it helps anybody, that would be awesome. Okay, so this is just talking about your beta blockers. Obviously, if it's your B1, you're talking about your selective. The one that blocks the B1 and the B2 is the non-selective, and then you have your dual, which is the A1, B1, B2. So we're going to focus on the non-selectives first. So there is a guy named Tim who's sitting in a propeller boat, a prop boat, and he doesn't care if he catches a B1 or a B2 fish, so that's why it's non-selective. He sits on a pin that hits his nads and knocks the cart off that held his soda. And it's a K soda, and that will help you remember that it's a K, a potassium blocker, and that it helps with arrhythmias. So Tim has very pretty eyes, but he's starting to get migraines lately because he left his girlfriend Meddy. So eyes means glaucoma. Obviously migraines is what it can be used for. And then I put levobutanol and metoprolol there because they are also for glaucoma, but those are obviously different agents in his class. So timolol, levobutanol, and metoprolol all help with glaucoma. And then the levo is the leve, Medi is the metoprolol. The only other one on there for glaucoma is the cardiolol, and that's, you would see the little picture of the eye. Propranolol is kind of the biggest drug in this class. It has the most indications, so that's why it's underlined. Usually your biggest one in your classes, I underlined them, but they're your ones for your MI. So propranolol is the only one here that's listed, at least in the notes, for the having indication for MI. It also encompasses almost everything else that these other drugs encompass except glaucoma. So when I write migraines on timolol, I write migraines on propranolol. When I write arrhythmia on sotalol, then I write arrhythmias on propranolol. It also is in your MI because it's kind of your biggest drug in this class. And then it does the esophageal varices, the portal hypertension, the tremors, the pheochromocytoma, and then the MSA just means that it's a membrane stabilizing agent. So that is that class. Tim was in a propeller boat, sat on a pin on his nads, knocked the cart off that held his soda. Then you have your dual, and that's just I got in the car and drove to the lab and found out it also covered A1. So that's my carvedilol and my labetalol. Carvedilol is kind of your bigger agent here, so it covers the MI. And then I just remembered that it's the heart failure. You kind of have three big drugs that do heart failure. That's going to be your carvedilol, and the other ones are going to be over here. So then I have my selective, which is my B1, and that's going to be atenolol was the ace of beta blockers, but it increased the heart rate. So atenolol is by itself, the ace is the ace, the but is, so that I remember it goes ace but, the ISA is that it increases the heart rate. So atenolol, it was the ace of beta blockers, but it increased the heart rate. Then he got into trouble with Esme at the Met. So Esme is a woman I knew, but it helps me remember ESM. So esmolol. So he got into trouble with Esme at the Met, so metoprolol, and so he had to take the B taxi. So there was A taxis going to certain places and B taxis going to certain places. So he had to take the B taxi to go see his bishop. So it's obviously misspelled, bishop, but that works for me. So atenolol was the ace of beta blockers. He got into trouble with Esme at the Met, and he had to take the B taxi to the bishop. I just remember that atenolol is the 100 milligrams per day max, whereas metoprolol is my 100 to 200. Those are my two bigger agents of the class, so they both get MI. My acebutolol is but, it increases the heart rate, so there's the ISA. And then the esmolol, Esme has an arrhythmia, I just remember that. The guy and the taxi driver has some really funky eyes, so that's why there's an eye there, and that's the glaucoma. The bishop is kind of overweight, and so he has congestive heart failure. And then I just remember that for metoprolol, you have to have the SR, metoprolol SR for heart failure. And there you go. Hope it helps.